Greg with Primal Rights. Today we're going to take a look at the latest revision of the Atlas bipod from B&T Industries. B&T Industries is a 100% American company, and they make every single piece of these bipods here in the United States. We're going to look at the latest revision today. There's actually been quite a few different revisions of these things prior to the version that I have in my hands here right now. I started on, I think it was version 7, I think we're up to version 8 now, and there's a couple of little accessories that came along for the Accuracy International type rifles and chassis that make life a little easier as well. So we're going to take a look at these things in detail and show you how they stack up against the more traditional style bipods that most of us are familiar with, such as this Harris right here. We'll start by taking a look at all the features that the Atlas has, some of which are very different from any of its competitors. The first thing you'll notice is removable rubber feet. This is something that, a lot of different bipods, you can get different feet for them and such, but on the Atlas, it's very easy to change out the feet. There's a little hole right there with a little detent pin in it. You simply push that in and the feet pop out. It's completely modular. The next thing that really sets it apart is the legs itself. The way that you extend the legs, there's a little knurled cap up here, and you simply pull the cap down, and you can see beneath there it has some ball bearings and a retention spring here that keeps the cap from popping out the top. So what you do is you simply pull down and then extend the bipod. And you see, pull it all the way to the bottom. You have to back it up just a little bit, and then that detent will lock in to a groove that's machined in the legs. So to pull it down and then move it to where you want it and wiggle it a little bit, and it'll go right in. So if you wanted to come down one notch, you could do that all the way up, 2 notches, all the way to full extension. This is one thing that's new. The old, like version 7 bipods, did not have an elevated ring around the legs themselves. So this, it was knurled before, like you see here, but it didn't have this little ring. I kind of like this addition. That ring really makes it easier to get a hold of that thing and pull it down. Sometimes you get dirt and stuff stuffed in there. I mean, we use these things a little harder than was ever intended, I'm sure, when you get to laying around in the mud and dirt, but it can certainly take it. I've been running an Atlas now for the last 2 years, and since the first version I was able to get my hands on, they're extremely tough. So you don't ever have to worry about that mechanism not working for you. It's very tough and reliable. The next thing you'll notice is the bottom of the leg itself is knurled. This kind of helps you get a grip on it when you're grabbing a hold of that top piece, but also is very nice for when you have this thing folded up. You can lay this knurled section on a barricade or what have you, and it provides nice gripping surface. One of the main things that makes the Atlas different and unique is the way that the legs deploy. With a traditional style bipod, you really have 2 options: deployed or folded. With the Atlas, you can put it in just about any position that you would want. Each leg has a mechanism, as you can see here by this, I believe it's stainless steel insert, that has notches in it. It has notches both on the front and back side. This little detent, if you just push that in, you can engage the free notch in the back of that detent, and then it'll pop up to the next position, and then it'll snap back into place. So you can push it down, and you're free to move it until it finds another notch. So you can deploy this in either forward, 45 degree forward, 90, 45 degree rearward, or completely back. This gives you an incredible amount of options in terms of what you can put this bipod on. You can have it crossways up on a cinder block on this side. You could have the leg in 45 degree position on the left side and still maintain 90 degrees on this side, or you could put it in 45 degrees on the back side. And I've actually done that before in a match. It's not something that you're going to come across very often, but I had a very uneven platform, and I found 2 contact points just like that. And I was able to keep the rifle much steadier than if I just had one bipod leg down, or I couldn't have it in both the forward position because there was nothing to support the right leg. So this gives you a remarkable amount of freedom as far as what position you can set this bipod up in. And both legs, as you can see, it's very quick to adjust. If you want it put in just about any position you can think of, you can adjust it in just a second or two, depending on your position. Obviously, if you're proned out behind the gun, you'll have to reach up forward, and it's a little more complicated, but still very easy to do. Next, we'll talk about the pan and tilt function of the Atlas. This is controlled by a knurled nut on the bottom, which you can loosen or tighten, so you can fine-tune the amount of resistance you want. You can set it up to just flop around if you like, if you don't like any resistance. But the way that that's adjusted is you simply loosen up this front tension screw here, and then that makes the bipod pretty flaccid. You can move it to any position you want, but it will pan left and right. I think it's 15 or 20 degrees. It could be even a little more. I'll have to look in the exact specs, but you can pan it left and right, which is nice for engaging, you know, something that's moving. In hunting situations, coyotes and whatnot, I mean, that happens to me quite frequently, so I really do I really do appreciate it when I am in the prone position. The next thing that it's capable of do is it'll flex forward and backward ever so slightly. So there is a bit of movement there. The other thing that it'll do is, of course, tilt. So if the rifle's on the ground, you can tilt it back and forth to get a good, solid, even sight picture, level sight picture, no matter what kind of terrain you're on. If the tilting function won't really get you level, then you can extend one of the legs on the side that you need some elevation. So whether I was shooting on a downslope like that, I can still have contact. I can still have 2 points of contact on the ground, regardless of what was going on with my tilt. Now that's something you've been able to do on bipods for a long time. A lot of people don't. They just don't realize that that you can. But you can get set up on some very uneven ground and still have the ability to get 2 points of contact on the front of the rifle on the ground and be able to control it effectively. The attachment method on the Atlas is very intuitive. There's a lot of different options that you can use. On this particular rifle, I have the ADM lever mount, and it's that easy to get the bipod on and off. So if you're the kind of guy that doesn't like to have a bipod on all the time, as long as you got a rail to attach it to, a section of Picatinny on the bottom of your handguard somewhere, you can hook this thing up in a second. So you can have it folded up and in your pack, and then when you're ready to use it, you can have it come out and attach it wherever you need. The whole thing folds up into a pretty small little package, and it is very light. I mean, there's not excessive bulk to this thing whatsoever. For those of you that have Accuracy International chassis or rifles, the Atlas is probably, I would think that it would probably be your #1 choice. I've played with a lot of different bipods for my AI chassis stuff, and the Atlas by far and above is my favorite. Obviously the functions of the bipod carry over from what we were talking about earlier. Everything works the same. This particular bipod has the older style knurled knob on the top. It doesn't have that raised lip on the bottom. Still very easy to get a hold of it, and you know, it's just if you're wearing gloves or something like that and you get it all crapped up with mud, you might not be able to get on it as easily, but it still works just the same. What makes this one different is the attachment method. As typical with AI chassis, when you clip the bipod in there, it tends to flop around a little bit. You get a little bit of play up there. Some people really like that. Some people really hate that. I'm one of the guys that really hates that. I like to have things nice and tight on my rifle. I don't like things bouncing around and rattling and making noise. Part of it is from anytime I go hunting, I don't want something making noise on my rifle. The second reason is I just don't like a floppy rifle when I'm laying in my position. I like it to be nice and tight. So what Casey at B&T did was designed a special mechanism here, and really it's just a threaded screw to take that slop out. Now, I know that I had called Casey at B&T about 1.5 years ago and told him, hey, you should really think about doing something like this. And we talked about the different types of methods that could be used to accomplish it. And this is pretty much what we came up with on the phone. And he had some ideas as well and incorporated them into the design. So not only does B&T Industries have an incredible product, but Casey very much listens to what the community wants. When there's something that is a good idea that'll help people with their setups, he will incorporate it into his design. So my hat is off to him for that. So as you can see, this bipod is very sturdy on here. It's not loose, it's not flopping around, it's not making any noises. But if you're the kind of guy that wants it to be loose, all you have to do is loosen this knurled nut right here. So you put a little play in it, and then you have your traditional AI floppy bipod. So you can't have it your way. Of course, removal is a snap. Push in the button, pop the spigot out, and there you go. Put it back in, you just click it in there, press that knurled nut down, because that's actually the pin that controls the engagement to the AI chassis here. And then screw down the nut. And it's nice and tight again, no more floppiness. And it ensures that you're completely engaged. That thing will not come out of there. One of my favorite things about this bipod is the fact that it lets me get very low to the ground. This is with the legs at the 90-degree position. I can get lower to the ground yet if I go to the 45-degree position. A big reason that I switched to this bipod, not only just because of all the functionality it gives me and the freedom of setup, but the way that the bipod behaves when you're actually in a shooting position is different than anything that I've experienced before. It's something that's kind of hard to explain, and you definitely have to experience it to understand. But you can kind of see, I'll illustrate it for you here, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. When I get up in the shooting position, and this is just prone, mind you, but when I load the bipod, you can very plainly see that the legs and the bipod itself will flex ever so slightly. So when I put my body weight into the bipod, it feels squishier than it would on a Harris or something like that. That's the best way that I can explain it to you, is it just gives you more freedom when you're loading the bipod. If you push too hard, obviously it'll flex the legs. The mechanism itself will actually tilt rearward just a little bit, but I mean, it's not really a detriment. I've done it a few times accidentally, and it's not that big a deal. But under fire, when the rifle recoils, due to the fact that the bipod is not so stiff, it will actually stay in position. So when it comes to rebuilding your position after the shot, it's not really as difficult. You don't have to reposition anything. The bipod is generally right where you left it. We had talked a little bit earlier about the different types of setups that you can do given the amount of adjustment that these legs have. One of the shortcomings with this bipod is that it is short. If you're trying to take a really steep up angle shot, you're going to have to find something to stick underneath the legs of the bipod. They just don't extend to that long. When you're in position and you want to change the position of the legs or the height of the legs, it's not really that difficult, and if you're a really tall guy, you'll have an even easier time. But what I do, I'll just bring the rifle back toward me like that and pull the legs out to whatever position I'd like them to be in, and then shove the rifle back forward into its original position. So while it is kind of a pain, it's a lot easier than a lot of other bipods out there. And you know, you do get a fair amount of height difference here. I mean, I could take a relatively steep up angle shot here with this thing set up this way. And if I got their bag out of the way and out all the way down on the ground, I could probably pull a shot off like that. I wouldn't enjoy it, but I could. And of course, with the bipod legs fully extended, this thing will really flex. And that's just kind of inherently built into the design of this thing. Whether it was intentional or not, I don't know, but it is definitely a welcomed thing. Of course, the tilt function is there as well, so I can tilt this rifle left and right if I'm on uneven ground. Make sure I get my reticle nice and level. There's the 45-degree position we were talking about earlier. Should I have an open space, but yet I can get these legs to stick on something, I can definitely set that up. And as you can see, this isn't just games. The rifle is steady in that position. So when you pick it up, you're going to have to use some of that tilt function depending on where you're at, because the mechanics of the rifle have completely changed. Your front 2 points of contact aren't in the same spot anymore, but it can be overcome. Let's talk price and availability. The Atlas is a little more expensive than most of the bipods you're familiar with to this point. Typically you can get into a Harris bipod or something around that line for around $90, $120 for their more impressive models. But you still don't even come close to a tenth of the feature set that the Atlas has. So as far as dollar to performance ratio, I think the Atlas is probably the best thing going. When you take a look at some of the different bipods out there, like Seiko and you know, the AI bipod itself, you're spending $400 or $500. And there's a lot of different competition out there to the Atlas that claims to be everything that it is. I have used most of them and can tell you they are not. They are not half of what they claim to be able to do. Now, there are other good bipods out there for other applications. Obviously, if you're going to be sitting down while coyote hunting and you want a bipod, a 6-inch to 9-inch Atlas isn't going to be for you. But if precision rifle is what you're trying to do, something that you're going to be running matches with, something that you want to just, you know, practice casually with, I have found nothing that can do what the Atlas can do. It's as simple as that. So when you take a look at the cost of something, to me, it's, well, what kind of value am I getting in it? And with the kind of improvements in my shooting ability that have come about, just simply because of having a bipod that I can do what I want with in just about any situation, I think it's worth it. Price-wise, the Atlas is going to come anywhere from about $225, $230, all the way up to close to $300, depending on what kind of attachment method you go with. The preferred attachment method is really just going to depend on how you can get it attached to your rifle. Most fiberglass stocks and whatnot, the guys will add a little piece of Picatinny rail right up at the front and attach it that way. If you've got a rail already, great. My favorite for anything with a rail, and even on the fiberglass stocks that I put some rail on, is the lever mount from ADM. That's what I have on this Desert Tactical right now. It locks up very tightly. I don't ever have to worry about this thing falling off the rifle, but when I want it off there, it comes off very easily. I don't have to worry about messing around with it. If you haven't already, you guys should check out the review we did on the ADM mounts. Very impressive lever mount. They've got them for most optics and accessories out there now. So if you haven't checked that review out, I'd encourage you to do so. As far as the Atlas goes, it really is a leader in its own category. I mean, there's nothing that offers you the kind of machining quality, American-made components from a strictly American company that you can get with B&T Industries and the Atlas bipod. If you have any questions about this bipod, or where to buy it, or how to use it, how to set it up on your rifle, come and talk to us about it on the forums at primalrights.com. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.